Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I just wanted to go ahead and demonstrate an upgrade and a issue resolution to our stash paging system. And if you guys aren't familiar with what that is, don't worry, we're going to showcase all that today. But again, this is going to be for the multiplayer audience or all of you who are playing with your buddies on TCP/IP or whatever. It will not be a feature in D2R launch for you single player only people, at least not for the foreseeable future. So just a big disclaimer there. But with that said, as usual, if you guys are enjoying this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe, helps everybody out, and definitely be sure to check out the video description below for links to our website, Discord, Patreon, and some of the tools you might like to use today, such as D2R LAN. With all that out of the way, let's get to the good stuff and explain what we're talking about today. So the first thing you'll need to know is that you need to be on D2R LAN version 1.3.3 for this new system to be in effect. And before I dive into that, let's explain what the actual system is for those of you who are uninitiated. So, as of version 1.2.7, as this news post said, we introduced kind of while we weren't treating it as a beta, it ended up being a beta version of the stash paging system, and it had some previously unknown about limits and quirks that were causing some issues, crashes, things like that for people. So it's been revamped, it's been reworked, and with these new changes, we've done some further testing and ruled that the new system should be much more capable to handle everything. So with that said, this new system, let's explain what exactly it is. The stash paging system will allow you access to thousands of new storage slots in game. This is done by creating basically cloned instances of your 7 shared tabs. So most of you are familiar with the 3 that Blizzard gives you, and then some of the mods also go that extra step and unlock an extra 4, depending on where they get their info from. Anyways, you got 7 shared tabs normally. We'll call that page 1. When you go to page 2, you have a brand new set of 7 more shared tabs that you can utilize. Currently, the current max page amount will be set to 64. That is technically a soft code limit. It might be possible to expand in the future, but for UI reasons and stuff and simplicity, it's currently going to be set to 64 pages, which if you do the math, 64 times 7, that's going to be just shy of 450 tabs that you're going to have access to in game, and especially with all the mods using expanded storage, that should be plenty for everybody to track their grails, store every item they want, even if you're not sure if it's junk or not, etc., because you will now have that space to do it. As I just kind of silently did on screen here, if you go into the quality of life options, head to your stash tab settings page, you can rename these pages. So obviously it'll default to page 1 through 64, but if you want to start organizing them, like maybe these first 2 pages are for your uniques, and then I don't know, the next 2 are for your sets, whatever, you can start doing that. So I'm just going to change the first 3 for example purposes. I'm going to hit apply, and we should get our confirmation message there. But we'll see all that in game in just a few minutes. I just wanted to explain kind of the page limit and how that works real quick. So again, you'll have access to 64 times 7 tabs now in game, and there should not be any issues with item counts or save files, anything like that. Part of the issue with the previous setup was that all the files were using the same all the pages were using the same file. So let me go ahead and we're going to just clean this up a bit. Pretend I already did this and I'm not delaying the video here. But you would have your normal shared stash file and all the pages would be included in that. And that caused a problem for the game when it had to reload things and load that many units into the table and stuff. It would cause issues with crashes and stuff depending on your activities. So again, what we're doing now is we're now going to split each page into its own stash file, and it's going to be named, the following kind of format there. So every page will have its own identifier, and then obviously hardcore is still supported as well, so it'll say SC or HC depending on softcore or hardcore. In addition, in version 1.2.6 of the launcher, we expanded the save file limit. So we expanded it from 8 kilobytes to 32 kilobytes, and that change is going to benefit the shared page system as well, because now each tab, and that is each individual tab, not the entire page or file, is going to have that same file size limit of 32 kilobytes, which means that even for your very big mods with lots of stat changes, even if they're using a 16 by 16 storage, which is the current max amount without hard coding, and you're storing nothing but 1 by 1 joules or something like that for the max possible density, you are still not going to hit that 32 kilobyte limit. So essentially, you can use this without worry of just having too many items in general. It should not cause any impacts whatsoever. And then even though we are supporting up to 64 pages currently by default, you don't have to use all of them, and it's not going to create all of them unless you're using them. So unless you click page 12 and start putting items in page 12, then it's just not going to create that page for you. And so if 1 through 11 was plenty of pages for you, then those are the only files that are going to be created, so you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of extra bloat and stuff like that. And then just to touch on, the launcher should handle all of this for you. I know I'm yammering quite a bit, but that's just to mostly explain things. The actual process for you guys is going to be make sure you're updated and then click the play mod button. You shouldn't need to do anything. And the last kind of thing to mention is due to the new way this works, and because we wanted it supported for TCP/IP players as well, there is technically a small packet that needs to be sent to the host that says, hey, can I open my shared stash? Because again, the host kind of runs the game in that regard. So due to that nature, if you have a real bad connection with the host, 500 ping or something like that, then it may take like half a second for that stash page to load just because it's waiting for that response. However, for the vast majority of you, for most of the time, you're going to have a much lower, much more respectable ping, and the delay should be basically non-existent or small enough that nobody complains or really notices it. So just a quick note on that. But with all that kind of explained, I just want to show you how it works so you guys can rest assured a little bit, and then also see it in action, so you guys can just see how amazing this will be for everybody, in my opinion. So there's going to be two different examples that I'm going to demonstrate, just to show that it shouldn't matter what previous configuration you were kind of using, whether you're new or active, etc. It will kind of migrate you accordingly. So for person A, this is probably going to be most of you. You're not necessarily always up to date, so you have not partaken in the kind of beta launch of the stash paging system that came in version 1.2.7 of the launcher, and you just have your default either 3 to 7 tabs unlocked. So again, this is probably most of you, but with the new paging system, that's essentially one page, and so that's how we'll consider it. So when migrating, it's going to create a single file for you for that one page. Now some of you are a little more active and have already updated to 1.2.7 plus, and have already started filling up those recently unlocked pages with your grail items and stuff like that. For you, obviously we need to create more pages to help make sure that all your stuff is protected and transferred over as well. So for you, it's going to follow the same format, but obviously you're going to have more pages created for you. But in either scenario, you shouldn't need to do anything. This should be automatic, and it should correctly transfer all of your items, again, regardless of how many pages you had unlocked. So let's go ahead and show that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this file. So person A, we're just going to rename it to the default name that the game will use. Again, the game is not actually reading this anymore. So when I click play mod and do all that, it is just the launcher that is kind of using that file to create this page 1 for you. So now if I compare these two files, you can see they have the same file size. So again, this is the contents of this person's shared stash, but now in the new format, ready to go, so that when I load in the game, theoretically at least, we should see all that individual's shared stash contents, whatever he had. And there we go. So this is how he, was just organizing things. He was probably using the vault or, something like that. But anyways, this is how he had things stored. And as you can see, our naming changes have taken effect already. So our first 3 pages have been custom named. But let's say I go to do something like go to page 21, and we can see that I don't actually have anything in page 21. But let me save and exit, and we're going to go back to that folder. And you can see that because I clicked page 21, it's created that file for me because I probably want to use it, since I just clicked it. So now it's active, and I can start putting items in it. I didn't have to exit game to make it active, by the way. I was just doing that to create the file and show you how it works. Just as a demonstration, if I didn't use pages 2 through 19 for whatever reasons, or 2 through 20, because I just didn't want to, then again, I don't have to create them. It's going to only use what it needs. So I'm going to go ahead and exit the game. We've shown person A stuff has been all migrated. Let's go ahead and rename this back, and then we're going to go ahead and do person B stuff, which again, they have just updated more recently, and so they're already using a version of the stash paging system, but we want to get them to the new format while keeping all their items. So once more, I'm just going to click play mod. I don't really need to do anything. This renaming is just for demonstration purposes. And you can see that for him, it needed to create 6 pages in order to carry all his items, because he, again, was already using apparently 6 pages, and so that is what it created for him. So once more, we should see that when we go into game, the first 6 pages are all filled with goodies. And there we go. We can see these are definitely different goodies than the other shared stash file, so we're definitely loading this individual's contents. And there we go, there's all his contents, page 5, etc. And just like before, if we go to some random page, I can scroll down to, let's say, page 60, and I'm going to put some, I don't know, we'll put an axe in the very last tab, and I'm going to save and exit. Once more, we go back, we can see our page 60 was created, nothing in between. And then when I load back into game and go to that page 60, we should see our item safely tucked away where we put it. So let's go ahead and head back there, and there we go. So we'll grab our axe back because we desperately need that currently, and that will be a pretty good example of how the stash paging system is going to work. And it has already been fully integrated into D2R launch. As you saw, you can go ahead and do all the stash tab renaming and stuff like that, but it's also been integrated into the backup and restoral system. So real quick, I'm just going to show you through that. If I click the backup button, it's going to instantly create that backup for me. And then once more, if I go to that save folder, I go to backups, I go to stash, I can see here are all my backups, and you can't see my clock time right now, but it is 7:15 a.m. for me. So here is that backup that I literally just made manually. And if I go in there, we can see all my hardcore and softcore files. It's backed up everything as it needed to. And then as far as restoring it goes, it's going to be the same process. Basically, I'm going to hit restore. I'm going to select stash from the dropdown because that's what I'm trying to restore in this example. I'm going to go ahead and select that 7:15 one because that's the one I happen to want. And I'm going to click the restore button. And there we go. So it'll be as easy as that. Again, auto backups and stuff will still function normally. Everything's been kind of migrated over. So you shouldn't have anything to worry about as far as that goes. It should be, once more, quote unquote, famous last words, a seamless kind of integration and migration for you. You guys should just all have access to all the new pages and goodies that you can use as you'd like, customize how you want. And yeah, I think it'll be a big step forward for everybody. So I appreciate you letting me yammer on for minutes and minutes on end. I do hope you guys enjoy the new system, and thanks for your patience and support with everything. With all that said, future of D2R modding looks pretty bright, wouldn't you say? I hope you guys stick with us and keep seeing it to the end. And thanks for sticking around. Take care. Bye.